Welcome to the Movement and Performance Podcast, where my mission is to help people get stronger and healthier through the power of physical activity, especially here in New York City. Today, I'm bringing my mom on for a special Mother's Day episode, and we're going to talk about the fitness retirement plan. By a fitness retirement plan, I mean, what are the things that you want to be able to do physically in the later years of your life? You know, one of the things for my mom is she wants to be able to roller skate, she wants to be able to garden, dance. So what are the things that she has to do today in order to be able to still do those things in the later years of her life? We also talk about some of the emotional side of things, passion, love, chasing your dreams. The word emotion has the word motion in it. I believe that if we don't talk about the motivation to move and why we move, we're missing a big part of what we should be talking about in the world of fitness. So we'll dive a little bit into that passion and love because that's what's going to inspire us. Nowadays, I often catch myself saying, may we all die doing what we love with who we love. And by that, I mean, I don't want to just be a rock star in the young years of my life, but I want to be able to do the things that I love, chase my dreams, and move, be fit, strong, healthy, all through my entire life. My true goal is not to just help people be strong and fit for high performance, but how do we have sustainable high performance throughout the entirety of our life? So without further ado, I hope you all enjoy. Let's get right into it. All right, so finally got an episode with Mom. How cool is that?
That's right.
I don't know if you want people to know your age. We'll talk about it later. Part of this.
I'll tell you at the end.
We'll see if people can guess it. So today, what I wanted to talk about was I had a tentative title. I usually do that, and then I kind of maybe switch it a little bit later. But it was going to be something around fitness retirement plan. I know when you heard that, you were kind of like, I ain't retired, right? But
Definitely.
fitness retirement plan means it's something you do before retirement. So this way you have what you need for retirement. If you think about money, I start my retirement plan when I'm young. As soon as I start working, I start investing in my retirement. So this way when I am older, I have it, right? Or I have more money. So it's the same thing with fitness. We should invest in our fitness. Well, first off, we need to kind of have a goal. We need to know what we want to be able to do in older age. And then we have to be able to make a plan so that we can be able to actually achieve that. And we have to kind of invest in our fitness while we're young. But so a piece of this will be about the fitness retirement plan. And then the other piece for that plan, so some of it will be a little bit of me explaining some stuff, but the other piece is really about what you have taught me. You know, I did one episode with Dad. I wanted to do an episode with you. And one of the things that I think that you bring to the table is passion, hope, love, right? So I think one of the things that you always have is this dream to keep pushing forward, or this resilience that no matter what happens in life, you always keep going.
Definitely.
And that kind of mindset is the thing that you need in order to even want to embark on a fitness journey. Like if you don't feel that there's hope, if you don't feel that if you're not excited to go after anything in life, I think it's going to be very hard to want to invest in anything. So one of the big things, and we'll start with, I'll stop talking in a second, but we're going to start with is really about that. Like, you know, why is it important to keep dreaming all through life? Why is it important to have passion, to have love, to stay excited, to stay motivated, to keep going no matter what life throws at you? And then from there, we're kind of going to solidify, well, then what does that mean we have to do today in order to get there later? But, right? So I know that was like a big opening there. But so tell me a little bit, do you think that people should be able to, should they be young forever? Should they play forever? Is there, many people when they get older, they all of a sudden stop, they think they have to be an adult. Do you think that people should be an adult, or should people play all throughout their life?
Well, that question, some people feel that, this is the way the game goes. You grow up, you do this, you get married, you get old, blah, blah. No. Once you stop, that's when you get old. I love going out, doing the things that I love to do, tell jokes, roller skate, dance. I love to do it all. And it doesn't matter how old you are. It's you enjoying your life and listening to music. When you start listening to music, it does something to your soul and your mind. And not only that, it helps with stress and it calms you.
Do you feel like, I know you always talk about rollerblading. Do you think you'll be able to rollerblade again?
Roller skate.
Roller skate, sorry.
Oh, yeah. I got a brand new pair from my best friend. I already went roller skating. But I knew
We went roller skating.
That's right. But I knew there was something wrong with my leg. Turned out there was.
So at the moment, can you roller skate?
Not at this particular moment in time, but I have a vision of it.
Right. So, but you believe that you'll be able to roller skate?
Oh, I know. And a lot more.
So do you remember what it feels like to roller skate and enjoy it?
Oh, it's in my mind. I can't wait to get them on and start going.
You've felt the enjoyment of roller skating before?
Oh, gosh, yeah. I mean, sometimes I see the video of people roller skating, and I get a little envious. I'm like, yeah, well,
yeah.
Wait until I get back on my skates.
Yeah, because I think a big part is that you already have, this is like part of that whole like retirement plan piece, is like when you have these enjoyable experiences in your youth or in your younger years, you now have a memory of this thing and how good it felt that you can now recall on that memory and be almost like, I think I can feel that again. That feeling seems attainable because you felt it once before.
True. And another thing is, my mom and dad had 6 girls, but my dad believed he had 6 boys. There was nothing that we couldn't do that a man couldn't do, except for a few things. So seriously, he was tough on us. Yeah. My father, and plus he was a Marine. He'd say my name. We were nose to nose. Yeah, I'm right here. But he always taught us that no one's going to get up and do it for you. You got to do it for you. And if you don't do it for you, you might as well just lay there and die. And I learned to do so many things. And even my mom, at the age of 79, before she passed away, she was out every single day. There could be a snowstorm. She goes, oh, they cleared the road. I'm going. And I'm like, are you kidding? And I think I got that attitude from both my parents. I mean, they used to play handball when they were teenagers together up in Sunset Park.
Yeah. I think another big part, there's 2 pieces I want to go here, but I'll often say, and I'll say it and then explain it, but may we all die doing what we love. And what I mean by that is that you have the ability, the physical ability, to do the things you love all the way into the end of your life. There's some people, like you just said it already, where you kind of feel envious because of the things you can't do anymore. Now, you're going to train and you're going to get there, right? And that gives you that motivation. But there's some people who never get that back and then never have that hope. They just kind of like, they spend the last 10 years of their life or 20 years in envy versus somebody else who they were able to, do whatever it is that they love. There was a professor that once gave, it was on my podcast, but he gives the 2 parallels. He says, in the 60s or the 40s or something like that, if you broke your hip, they thought that you're probably not going to have many more years left because you're in your older years, right? It usually was a sign that you were on the way out, and they actually didn't even repair it. It kind of was just let you go. And this lady breaks her hip, but turns out she defies the odds and she lives another 10 or 20 years. But those 10 or 20 years she probably spent in bed, not doing anything she loved and maybe being slightly envious. And you compare that to someone else. There was another gentleman, he was a big biker, and he was maybe, I don't know, in his 80s. He was one of the oldest bike athletes. I forgot what type of event he was doing, but whatever it is, he's on this big event for bike riding, and on that event he gets a massive heart attack and dies. And now it sounds morbid to talk about death, but it was he's like, what better way
to die
go
than doing something you want to do?
Yeah, all the way until the last years of his life, he did what he loved. And, and so that's why after that episode, I always said, may we all die doing what we love. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I kind of get it from my mom and dad, because my dad, he went to the hospital. He wasn't feeling well. They said, chalk it up for getting old. Kind of like what you were saying. A couple months later, he was in worse pain. My mother said, that's it, I'm bringing you to the hospital. Turned out he had prostate cancer, stomach cancer, and liver cancer. And with that disease, it's a slow-moving disease, but he lived a lot longer than what the disease expected him to. And I believe it had a lot to do with my mother, because they lived off of each other's energy. And they end up, two Brooklyn kids, moving upstate. My father had a bakery, plus he had a farm, cows, pigs, chickens, you name it. Planting garlic, Bazanagot, the old Italian way, all that good stuff right then and there. Who would ever think two Brooklyn kids would do something like that? But it was their energy together. But even though my father outlived the time, and as you said, there were some people that they didn't want to give a hip transplant to. Grandpa ended up having a hip transplant, but they only put him in twilight, so he heard everything that they did. Yeah. But he pushed it.
So he didn't want to be put out, was what it was?
No, they said if he was to be put out, he may not survive. He says, good, then put me in twilight. Because he was determined. He goes, I'm not walking around with a hip like this. It needs to be replaced. I'm not going to be miserable and laying in my bed, just like what you were saying. I'm not going to do that. Change it. Whatever means possible, change it, because I have a life to live. I'm not going to be sleeping all day long. And they said, well, he goes, you're going to hear us like soaring. He goes, yeah, and so? Change it. And he did. And he was able to walk. And he had both knees replaced. And forget it, he was like the bionic man. You know how Grandpa was with all he had to say was, here, cows. And they would come running down, and they were like his dogs. They loved him.
How old was he when he passed?
So
how old was he?
I'll tell you, my mom, she would go out every single day. My father had a mini stroke, but he was okay. But tomorrow will be my mom and dad's wedding anniversary. And on my mom's dad's wedding anniversary, my niece went to wish a happy anniversary. And my mom had a major stroke. So she went into the hospital, same hospital as my father. And like the movie, my father kept coming up from his room with his wheelchair to hold my mother's hand and laugh and tell jokes. Well, my mom ends up dying 4 days later, and my father says, get me out of this hospital, I'm going home to die. Because he felt that because he lost the love of his life, he lost the energy and the will to live. And that my mother died April 29th, 9:01 p.m., and my father died 9:01 a.m. on October 29th.
Say that one more time. It was
exactly 6 months apart, and my mother was 9:01 p.m.
So he knew it was over for him when she was gone.
Once he didn't want to live. He said, it's over. The love of my life. Sometimes, whether you're independent or you have a loved one, that loved one, you feed off of each other's energy. Or if you're alone, you feed off your own energy. So when you lose the biggest energy in your life, sometimes when you're that old, what's to live for? When you've been together for almost 70 years.
How old was Grandpa?
She was 79 and he was 81. 2 years apart.
Yeah, I think, wow, yeah. I mean, I know the stories and when you hear it again, but it's that reminder of like passion and love keep you alive. And in that event, it's sad that he, kind of said like, this is the end. But we all have an end, right? And that back to that point, kind of die doing what you love. That was what he loved. And then when it was over, he said it's time to check out, and it's over.
He had
for
nobody
me.
to enjoy it with.
Right. And he lived upstate. There's like some other things there. It's a little harder when you're far away. Like I think it's another importance of being surrounded by community. If you invest all your eggs in one basket, or if you put all your eggs in one basket kind of thing, and not saying you shouldn't, of course you should love your partner, but meaning like also having grandchildren and aunts and uncles, and that's why we're all meant to be more so in a community. And if you're kind of like a little bit alone, and then you lose the one thing that you are passionate about, that could be really hard.
Very hard.
So I think that's why, if you could think about your own example now. So you just moved, right? And now we moved you closer to me and Roxanne. So, right, and we're brother and sister for those that don't know. We have my nephew in the neighborhood, and now we have my little niece Bridget as well. So they get to come and visit, right? And what do you feel is the difference between where you used to live to now? Do you think community plays a role in keeping that?
Oh, definitely. The community, I was there for 30 years.
Right.
That's where I raised you. And it was, anybody would have died to live in that neighborhood, and it progressively got worse.
But I mean, the community of where you are now.
Yeah, well, when I moved, I talked to everybody. My neighbor brings me soup every now and then.
What's his name again?
Mo.
Big shout out to Mo.
Hi, Mo. He's a funny guy. He says, Mary, why are you shoveling snow with no hat on? I said, this is coming from a man with his hat on, with a plastic bag, smoking his cigarette.
He makes a good lentil soup, though.
Yeah, he does.
gave me
Excellent. But there's one thing I wanted to mention, just like for the younger people out there. Like something I notice that not everyone, they tend to live with their parents while they go to school. Then they go to their job while they're still paying off their college, still living with mom and dad, going out on the weekends with their friends. It's almost like a stereotype. And then they decide, I've been going out with my friends now for about 8 years. So now I'm like 28 years old. I have to get married. Like it's a rule book. And then they decide, okay, I lived at home with mom and dad. I did the college. I got the job I want. And then I went out with my friends on the weekend. I have to get married. I have to have the kids. Then we have to have the family thing. Everything is just like that. They never get a chance to know who they are personally. They went from one home to another home. They never knew what it was like to live by themselves, to cry by themselves, to laugh by themselves, to not share a bed with anybody else and have anybody else in the house, and to do whatever they truly wanted to do. And it's really kind of sad, because that's really what the norm is. I am not the norm, and I did not raise you to be the norm as well.
Clearly.
And one of the things I always say, because my sisters would say to me, when are you going to grow up? What do you mean grow up?
Right.
I would work 2 or 3 jobs at a time. My kids never wanted for anything. So what is it that I'm doing that's wrong?
Right.
Because I'm having a good time?
Right.
There is no rule book.
Yeah.
You need to enjoy your life. I don't live by that book. I live by my own book, I dance to my own steps. I sing to my own songs. I do whatever I want. Like the song goes, I am who I am.
Yeah. I think that there's spectrums of things, and then there's all these different tools in that spectrum, and there's different tools for different jobs. And that is, the more individual and freedom side of the spectrum. So sometimes if you're too free, it can become chaotic. But I think so many people are so rigid, and they need more freedom. And that's definitely one of the things I learned from you. It's just like freedom and individuality to learn who I am and then be comfortable with expressing that.
Yeah, because I heard, a gentleman told me, I said, why did you get married if you didn't want to be married? He says, I was 28, it was 29, it was that time. I said, that time for what? He said, because I was getting older. I said, you think 29 is getting old?
Right.
My sister Dora didn't get married till she was 40 and had her first child at 41. She went and traveled the world. And most of the time she was by herself. I can't even begin to tell. She lived in Italy. She lived in California. She lived in Colorado. She lived in Florida. She lived in Texas. She lived everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think people need to be able to explore and express and learn about who they are and play and travel. And like, that's the spice of life. That's what makes life so good. I always say, like, you go to work, you come back home, you work again because you're trying to keep your household in line. Then you do, and everything's just like these routines of work, where you never kind of, humans are meant to explore. I was reading a really good book, this guy Alex Hutchinson, and he wrote a book on, the explorer's gene. Like, we're meant to explore, and you have to learn about yourself. And these are the things that are the spice of life. Like, the reason I go to work is so that I can have some enjoyment. And the enjoyment happens there. And if you never take time to do those things, right, you're kind of missing the big part of, and if I was trying to tier it, I would say that's the highest part of the tier. Like, I don't express myself to work. I work so that I can express myself, or like be a rebel, or have fun, or play, or dance, or sing, or do some of those things.
Definitely. Like, I work with special needs children. I love it. I'm not the norm, because the way society is and the way the Department of Education is. One particular story, there's one teacher that she's very loud, and the classroom has to be very quiet, and you can't do this and you can't do that. So before we go into the classroom, I'm like, listen, you want to get yelled at? They're like, no. I said, well, neither do I. So let's be quiet, okay? So I'm a big kid. Right. With these kids, and they know that they could come to me without me yelling at them, because it's easy. Once you yell, it goes in one ear and out the other. But when you listen, they know that you're listening. Kids are very smart, regardless, special needs or not. They're very smart. They know a lot more than what you think. And one of the things that I used to do and they do is, but why do you do this? But why do you do that? But why? Why? Like, but why? And that's what I say. But why do you have to do that way? Like what I was saying before, you go from home to marriage, this and that. That, maybe not for all, but that calls for almost a disaster for cheating. Because once you really get to know that person, because you knew that person when you were going out and they were all dressed up, and that's the person you know. And then when life comes about, when your wife's got her hair up in rollers and, in pajamas, I married this. No. Well, that's why you have to go out and meet new people and do things. You need to find that person that is the yin to your yang. It doesn't mean that you have to be exactly alike. That's the fun of it. What my motto is, it's your life, his life, and your life together, where there's harmony. And that's how it will work.
Yeah. So it sounds to me like you don't have to follow a rule book, and it's actually better to follow your passion a bit. So sometimes kind of meditating on your feelings, being in tune and in touch with your feelings, and kind of understanding, what it is that you want, and kind of moving in that direction more than doing it because you feel like you have to and you're supposed to. All right, so I want to wrap this. I want to bring it back home a little bit, because so many people might think, right, this is the Movement and Performance Podcast, so what does this all have to do? What I always think is your mindset. It's like embodied cognition. What's going on in your mind is impacting your body. What's going on in your body impacts your mind. Like how I move, impacts what I'm thinking and feeling, and then vice versa. Like what I tell myself, what I do, all these things. But so people who I think follow passion a bit more, they're moved, right? You can literally say emotion moves you. The word motion is in emotion. Right? because it's moving you internally. And that movement internally creates external movement, or at least a motivation to want to move externally. And now I'm going to go out and get it, right? Whatever it is. If I'm thinking, ooh, that's exciting over there, let me go get it. I now have to walk over there and get to it. And, it's just this idea of living a life where you're kind of like, where there's love and where there's passion, and when you're in tune with your feelings and you're moving and drifting and going all these places, it is, it's going to be your motivation to move. The moment that you give up on all that and you say, you know what, I need to follow this rule book, I need to do it this way, I need to be more rigid, you end up almost like domesticating yourself.
Exactly.
And if you look at like a dog versus a wolf, right? It's almost like the wild version or the domesticated version.
I would like the wolf.
Yeah. Like which one is probably going to be more athletic, more fit, more, we could probably do research studies on that, but like, it's this idea of when you're not in a cage and when you're in tune with your emotions and you're kind of chasing dreams and passion and love and fire and all those things, it makes you move and it gives you a reason to move. Like I want to go even just exercise. Like if I know I take a new dream, I want to go back and get my PhD, whatever it is. In order to do that, I have to be fit. I have to be healthy. If I want to meet a new person, I have to be fit. I have to be healthy. Like you're now going to be more motivated to go to the gym. You're going to even be more motivated to just walk. You're going to get more steps in your day because you're going, oh, I'm excited to look at bookstores. Okay, then go walk around different bookstores. All of a sudden, you're getting in more steps. You didn't even realize it. But when you're, I think, wild and free, and again, I think there is still, though, a limit to it. You don't want to be so wild and free that you become chaotic, and then it can be disastrous in its own way. But it's more so, but you don't want to be so caged that you become domesticated. And then when you're domesticated, all you do is you sit on the couch. And I tell people, you can die on the couch or you could die off it. And I'd much rather die off it doing what I love.
Well, that's like some of the people that are my age. They're like, how do you do this all the time? I don't understand. I'm like, you could do it too. You don't have to take giant steps, just little steps that you like. Just a little thing, and that one little thing will grow, and a little bit of passion will grow. As for me, if there's something I want to do, I'll meditate about it. I'll not just meditate like, oh, do I want to do it? Sometimes I'll meditate and see the whole process and the whole thing being, okay, I definitely want to do that. What is it all about? So no matter how old you are, there's always a way to exercise and have that energy, because some people have mindset, I'm too old. Okay, you are too old. But if there's people who are searching for those things, just one step at a time, and they'll be able to do it.
Very good point, because you have to have some success. If I look at you and you're all the way up here, I'm like, I'll never be able to get up there. But if I have a small goal and then I accomplish that small goal and I feel the success of like, oh, I actually accomplished that small thing, I now am more motivated to make another small goal, and then they compound. So that's really good advice. Definitely, small steps.
Yeah, definitely.
What the heck was the other thing? Oh, so I wanted to kind of drift a little because I feel like that big piece there, that message kind of was what I wanted to give people, was about being a little bit more of your wild self as opposed to being too domesticated to some degree, and then you kind of,
Everything
but not
in moderation.
And in moderation, not so wild that you're now chaotic, but just having some individuality, some expression, some passion, some love. And when you chase those things, you now become more excited to move. But I don't want to get too far. The piece I want to jump into now is you're thinking a little bit more about your retirement plan, right? So that first piece I want to talk about was the motivation to move, right? Like I think being youthful, being playful, all these things lead to excitement, right? Again, that love and passion piece, those things make you move with speed, they make you move with intensity, they make you want to move, right? So, okay, we now have that fire, but now we kind of have to solidify a bit. let's take like what are some things that you would want to be able to do in retirement? So we got one, roller skate.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. I've been asked lots of times, why don't you go on disability? I would never do that. I am too independent, and I work on the 4th floor, but it takes 8 flights to get up there. I huffed and puffed, and I went up there, and I do it, and I don't care. I'm going to do it till my time is up, and then I'll retire and feel good about myself, and then be able to go rock climbing.
And then after you retire, what are you going to do?
Yeah. I'm rock climbing, I'm zip lining, what we've done together.
And we've done them all already, right? We've done zip lining, we've done rock climbing, we've done roller skating, which is cool that we did a lot of that.
There might be some things like I can't do, like get on a horse because of my back, but I'm sure I could climb that wall.
Yeah. Oh man, there was something you just said there that made me want to touch on another piece.
What made me laugh is when I walked in, I've always had nails, and the girl says, "Oh, you're going to climb that wall with those nails." So I climbed all the way to the top, and I remember saying to you, take a picture. And I had said to the girl, "Oh, look, see, I got to the top with these nails." I guess it's just when someone tells me I can't, it makes me stronger. It makes me more independent. It pushes me to be my own person.
Would you be worried about losing your independence, and meaning physically? Like if you couldn't do some of those things, how would that make you feel?
Well, I understand that when you get older, life's unexpected things. I would still be able to do whatever I'm able to do. I would love to be able to do. Even if it's walking, and there's some people that are older that have like arthritis. They can't even cook for themselves. I love baking. I love planting. Those are other things I love that are a little bit easy on the body. So when my body says, okay, I can't do this part, then I do the other part. And that's how it will go for the rest of my life. Like I said, I learned from my mother, my father. They knew when they weren't able to do something, they had to go to a different interest. And they did it. And that's what I'm going to do.
All right, so I think we got rock climbing, roller skating, zip lining, gardening,
Cooking
cooking and baking, right? So it'll take those 5.
That's just a few. Let's see what else I find out to do. To
And I'm sure you'll have plenty more, right? But like, in order to do those things, what I often tell people, because I know you've asked me many times, well, what kind of workout should I do, or what should I, whatever, and let's just take the roller skating, for example, or let's take something simple. Let's take walking, because you said that.
In my home, and ever since I was a teenager, I have my yoga mat, I have my weights.
Yeah, you have weights and stuff in the house.
I work out at home. I do whatever I could. And then I used to also be a health counselor, and one of the things I used to tell my clients is, I know you're tired at the end of the night, but put on one of your favorite songs that will make you dance. Just dance one song. One song. You'll be surprised. That one song might be 2, 3, 4, 5, because you're hearing things that you used to hear from a long time ago. And that's what I do for myself. Like today, for instance, I put on some music from a long time ago, and I walk with a walk and a crutch right now because I had surgery.
Right.
I started dancing with my crutch. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah, I think that's my new obsession, is finding people who are in older ages but still doing the things they love. So dancing. I watched guys, I guess because I'm roller skating's a theme recently, that keeps popping up on my feed. Like older guys roller skating. I mean, we watched that video of the lady who was 90?
90.
Who was she?
She started at 52 years old
for
the Ironman challenge or run. And she was 87 years old and still doing it because she loved it.
Right.
It's like, I love the water. I love, I forgot what it's called when you stand on the surfboard and you...
stand-up paddleboard?
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was able to do it, and I did it.
Right.
And it was fun until the boat went by, and it took me back a little bit.
Right. But yeah, that's my new obsession, finding people in their older ages Like there's like track and field. They have the division for like 40 and above, 60 and above. Like I'm looking at these guys run. I'm like, they're running at speeds that like I can run at now. Which is like crazy.
I could do things that some of the people that I work with cannot do at all. They're like, oh, we can't move this shelf. And I'm like, move over. And I don't get it.
I'm learning now that I think the idea that we once had is not fully true. Like, there'd be things like, oh, over the age of 35, you'll lose about a half a pound of muscle a year or something. And while there could be truth to some of these things, and I don't like exact numbers, but like, meaning just that you're like on this rapid decline, like after the age of 35. I feel like that was a thing but like you're seeing older and older people do stuff. And I think about it kind of like Mount Everest. There was a point where physiologically scientists said, you will die if you climb Mount Everest. 100%. There's no human being that can do it. But somebody did it. Someone climbed Mount Everest.
One.
And then, no, it's not just one. And then after that one person did it, a bunch of people do it. But my point is that like people break these barriers that we originally thought we had. Sometimes we put this hard and fast number and then it sets this mindset of like, oh, when I get to that number, it's going to happen to me. And then I think it happens a little more because of that mindset of you thinking it. Whereas if you're kind of like, no, I can climb Mount Everest. And the physiologist is like, no, right? Scientist is like, no, you can't. And he's like, no, I can. And then he does. Like I think we're learning that, no, we actually can be a lot more fit into our older age than people once thought. And especially if you're active, not only will you not lose, but you can even gain muscle mass, speed, power. The first things to go are speed and power. Then muscle mass, shortly after that. But like this guy, like I said, it was the 60 and older division for sprinting. And you could say, well, yeah, but they're the anomaly, or they're like the rare few that can do it. But I think, it's more so that many of us give up on that earlier and settle for this idea because we love to take the easy way out and we love like laziness when we get that opportunity. Whereas I think we have to shift our mind and our culture like that, no, actually, you can be more fit into older age. You can actually work out in older age, and you can do the things you love in older age.
Look at Grandpa.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, we were never allowed to sit still at home. Grandpa was 81, filled with muscles, natural muscles. He was built like a brick house.
Yeah.
And he built another side of his
He was
bond.
like the Rocky build. So in Rocky 4, right? When you had Drago, who was like this perfect science project, and then you had Rocky, who went upstate and like chopped wood.
And then, I have a picture of my father, like of him with the full goatee, mustache, and beard, like Rocky, in his barn, like that scene. And
I'll
he
have
was
to put a clip
holding
of it
up
on here.
on it, and I'm like, some people say, "Oh, your father's handsome." I'm like, ew.
Yeah, he didn't, the heat in the house was from chopped wood.
Chopped wood,
So he was still chopping wood. And
piles and piles of wood. And the other thing too,
and this was a Brooklyn kid.
Yeah, Brooklyn kid.
He moved up.
Chop down a tree. If there was an odd piece of wood, he would carve it. He made an Indian powwow. Every picture in the house was my father's paintings or carvings. He never stopped moving, ever.
Yeah.
Even if his body tried to slow him down, he kept going, whether it be painting, carving, baking, on the farm, with his animals.
Yeah, I think we're going to learn that we're capable of way more than we think in older age. And when we start to shift that culture and that mindset, we're going to realize that we can break even more barriers, kind of just like Everest, where one guy said I could do it, broke the barrier, and now like a bunch of people are trying to do it type of thing. I think it's more that we have this mindset that, I think once I have kids and once I turn 35, once I turn 40, like, my fitness is going to be shot. And no, like, people have to just stay in the game, you know?
Well, the one thing too is generations that pass, the parents always want their children to do better than what they have. And they majority have. And then the 60s and the 70s, I think once we got to the 80s and all the TV shows and the games, it's not going to be that way. That people would not be able to handle what we've handled even at a young age.
That's an important piece too. While I'm saying like maintain some of these things, we
their
do also
body
have to know where we are and take these small steps and be progressive. Because if all of a sudden, there's nothing worse than binge anything, right? If you now are so excited from hearing this episode, you're like, tomorrow I'm going to run a marathon, and then you go do it, and then you get hurt, and then you're really not going to move, right? But it's definitely super important to be slow, progressive, be real, understand where you are on your journey, but just know that you're not doomed for this, like, older age, I can't be physically fit anymore thing. Like, you actually can invest in it. And the sooner you invest in it, that's part of what this is about, the better. If you start an investment from childhood, right? I think that's one of my big goals like, I think I would be a perfect person to study, but like when you start from childhood and you have all this variety of movement and you kind of maintain that through your life, like it's gonna compound. Whereas though if you never did anything, then you start at 50, It's a little bit different. So, and yes, you have to be a little real. You have to understand where you are. You have to take small steps. And, so part of this is inspiring us to do better things for our kids so that it's a fitness retirement plan for them. But then wherever you are at in your journey, knowing that you could still always go up, right? You're going to have two trajectories. I could go left, I could go right, and I'm going to choose to go the one that is better and healthier. So you can always still make investments and be better than you were yesterday.
And even your eating habits. My eating habits have changed so much compared to when I was younger. That's what's going to keep the fuel going as well. As opposed to a couch potato.
And getting some insight on that too, because I feel like even myself, there's times where I thought I was eating better and I didn't realize that I wasn't eating as good as I thought. And then, it's always good to continue to do your homework and in that nutrition world also, and know what are the good things. And, there's tons of good podcasts and things like that nowadays on that topic.
Well, that's what I used to do for you guys. Instead of like handing you a candy bar, I would make zucchini bread with cacao chips, or...
That's my point, though. Well, there's more zucchini, but you still got a lot of sugar in there.
It does. I did. But also, I wanted to slowly get you into more of the vitamins.
I agree. Progressive is better.
As opposed to giving you a bag of chips, like those hot chips they have out for those kids now. They're going to destroy their esophagus.
Look at me now. I'm definitely think my diet's much better. But one of the other big things I just wanted to mention was that, so if we'll take walking as an example, or running, because those are kind of a little bit simple. At this age, just so you're aware, you should probably be able to walk a 15-minute mile. If you want to be on the upper side, it should be more like 12 minutes, right? But let's say I want to be able to walk a mile my whole life, or in my 70s. You have to realize that as you're aging, things will get harder. So when I'm talking about fitness retirement plan, you have to not just be average, you actually have to be above average, knowing that you're going to lose a little bit along the journey so that you can just be average like later on. So what I would say is if you should be able to, like, good is like a 12 to 15 minute mile, then maybe you want to be able to try to aim for a 10-minute mile. Now, again, you're not going to go out and just do that tomorrow. And that's a pretty fast mile, a 10-minute mile. You're kind of moving for 60 years old. That's crazy. So I would say more like that 12. But the point I'm trying to make here is, if you want to be average in your 70s, you have to be above average in your 60s. And the idea of a fitness retirement plan is understanding that, so you make those investments. And then that then means that exercise has to be a full-time job. If right now, let's say you run let's say you walk 20-minute mile, right? I don't expect you to go to 10 tomorrow, but I expect you to do the 20-minute mile like as often as you can. You start with 1 day a week, then you go to 2 days a week, then you go to 3 days a week. Now I try to go to maybe every day. Can I walk a mile every single day? And you have to do this stuff frequently and often, and it has to be a part of your life. It can't be something that you visit. And the goal is to become above average at whatever age you are, so that you can age well into being average maybe as you're older.
Well, like you said, I really truly believe it starts pretty much when you're young. Not saying that you can't do it when you're older.
Yeah.
But me and my cousin, we would walk from 40th Street to 86th Street and 5th Avenue just to get Baskin Robbins, and then walk back so we burnt off the calories. So we always had that in our mind. We used to walk it 2 or 3 times a day like it was nothing, and go straight to the gym and then walk back. We never took the buses. We never had the money to take the buses, so we walked to the gym.
But now, instead of saying we walked, I want to hear you still walk.
Oh,
right? Not the
definitely.
old stories. But yeah, another big piece to consider and think about is resistance training that many don't. And I know you've said, so this is a good one to talk about, but you kind of said, oh, maybe some of the types of resistance training you did when you were young might have caused you some pain, right? I just did an episode with Ryan, the old school Ryan, iron versus modern science.
I was a weightlifter.
But my point is, there's healthier ways to lift, and I'm going to say that not only, if you want to do any of these things we talked about, rock climbing, skating, let's just take the roller skating. If you want to roller skate at age 70, you have to do resistance training. And by that, it could be body weight stuff. It's whatever challenges you, right? So you want to come close to failure. You want to feel a burn. Like your typical 3 sets of 10 is always good, so maybe you're doing a body weight squat. If by the end of 10 reps, you feel like a good burn, then it's working you. If you feel like you could have done like another 10, it actually wasn't heavy enough. You should have a little weight in your hand, or maybe put a little weighted vest on, something light, or hold something. But doing single leg stuff is very important. So I was showing you in the house, like the step up, or kind of like you have to balance on one leg and some of those things. But you have to resistance train, and I would say I would do that like 3 days a week if you want to be able to skate in your 70s. When women hit menopause, especially women and older women, post-menopause, so estrogen is very protective on the bones. And when you pass a certain age, or when you're postmenopausal, you have less
Bone
estrogen,
density.
and your bone density goes down.
Well,
so
that's
now,
one thing I'm very fortunate. I'm postmenopausal, and my bone density is off the charts. They couldn't
which is
believe
great.
it.
And the part of that is resistance training and exercise,
Well,
so you
that's one of
can
the things
maintain it.
I have to say, all the things that you've been teaching me, I've been doing, and if you didn't show me the correct way to do it because of the surgery I recently had it, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
Because the people that they sent to my house to help me didn't do anything. But if you have the right person to show you what to do, I'm up, I'm walking, and I'm not using a walker, I'm using a cane. And I know in a short amount of time, I'll be doing a lot more walking.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and no one should ever feel like, oh yeah, that person knows everything. No, they're just trying to help you achieve that goal.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
So, yeah, of course. So that main thing, there's 2 big things. Whatever it is I want to do, and we'll just take the walking example. Let's say you want to be able to walk a mile or whatever, you want to walk 2 miles through. whatever it is, try to almost like get to a point where you could double that. You have to progressively get there, but if I want to be able to walk 1 mile by the time I'm 70, I should be able to walk 2 miles today. And then whatever it is, you're doing that frequently. So I need to do that, at least 3 days a week. So whatever that activity is that I want to be good at, I need to do it frequently, and I need to be double as good today. And then you also need to resistance train, because resistance train is going to maintain your muscle, and it's going to maintain a lot of other stuff. It's going to maintain your brain. It's going to maintain your bone density. There's big links to dementia and all that stuff. Definitely. So even coordination, right? There's a lot of things that when you start becoming more athletic and you're doing things in the environment, it requires your brain, right, to be engaged in this activity. So like resistance training and doing that between 2 to 3 days a week is super important too. So I think anybody who wants to have a solid fitness retirement plan, consider what you want to do, be double as good at it today, and then make sure you're resistance training.
Definitely. Definitely.
So that's we're at our time.
Okay.
Is there any last things you want to mention before we wrap it up? I know you had some notes. By the way, hold on. This is enormous font.
Just some things in case I forgot something.
But the font, is enormous.
Yes, definitely. But I'll tell you this. Whenever there's music, I will be the first one out there to dance.
Oh, I love it. So should people be dancing or what? What about if they look silly? Should they still do it?
I don't care what anybody thinks. That's one thing that's great with age too, is that, and you should learn at a younger age. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. If it makes you feel good and you're enjoying yourself, enjoy yourself. Because that's going to keep you doing it. Some people are embarrassed to say, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I never thought I could rock climb, but then I remembered playing hide and seek and how I used to jump the fences and climb over the garages. And I'm saying, I could do this. I used to jump over yards and this and that. Why not? And I did.
So we just got cut off there. But I think the last thing you were saying was dance like no one's watching.
Yeah, I see some people out there, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to go there. They're old. And then I realize they're the same age as me, which in a couple of months, I will be 60 years old, young.
Ooh,
Should
60
I say
years
young?
Yeah, I have.
But I always say that I think they put the wrong date on my birth certificate.
That's hilarious. There are a lot more. There's more activities today than I think people think. I have a little area on my website. It says activities in New York City. And it's separated by category. One of them's dance. So if you click on dance and you go to the organizations, you'll see a bunch of organizations in New York City that help people get dancing. But one of them, for example, even in my age, right, 30s, people are like, oh, you're 30, who's going to go out to the club or dancing or whatever. Good organization, Matinee. It's 30 plus. And they start early and they finish early, so they start at 6 and they end at 10 or something like that. So there's going to be, never stop dancing. There's going to be an organization out there,
I love singing.
Yeah.
But the one thing, I wanted to be a singer my whole life. But when I thought about it, I didn't like people tell me what to do.
That's funny. So, all right. You were good on the notes there, right? Or you hit any big things you wanted to hit?
Let's see if there was anything good here.
Another thing I learned from my mother was she could always make something from nothing. You open the fridge, I'm like, there's nothing in this fridge. Then all of a sudden you made a really good meal out of it.
That's it. And the reason why I have these papers is the other thing I would say is when you fail to prepare, you're prepared to fail.
Ooh, and that's why you have your notes.
Exactly. Even if you don't use them, you're prepared.
That goes perfect with fitness retirement plan.
Exactly.
If you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. So start ahead. Get moving now. Be double as good today. Don't forget the resistance train. Get out there and get it. You heard it first from She-Hulk.
Yeah.